As the days went on and the pile never seemed to shrink and the dust never settled, some of us started telling each other that the sun still rises. Now, I don't know who said it first, but it did actually seem incredible that something so simple could still happen. We were surrounded by all of this destruction. They still hauled the dead away. Firefighters still stood and saluted the bodies when they passed. The trucks still carried away tons of debris, and the dust, it covered everything right down to the backs of our throats. But somehow, in the middle of all that, the sun still came up every day. And Celia, she was at the door telling us so. After a while, I noticed that Celia knew a lot of the men who came through our doors. She got to know them before they went out on another 6-hour shift. They'd stop and hug and maybe check in on each other. She stayed late after most of her shifts ended, and I'd see her playing cards with the men. She created these small moments of normalcy for these people. As great as that was, Vern and me, we were concerned she wasn't getting no rest. She usually asked if she could come in on her weekly day off. We had to tell her to stay home. In the first 6 weeks, it was fine, and she was reluctant, but she always stayed home on Wednesdays. But after some time, she stopped Vern on a Tuesday in a classroom that we turned into an admin office. She said, "Vern, I'd really like to keep working through the week. May I come in tomorrow?" He gave her that very Vern, warm, sympathetic look and said, "Celia, I know you want to stay on at the door, but we gotta look out for your health too." She said, "The people out there know me. They expect me at the door." Vern agreed and said, "We appreciate you. They appreciate you, but even they get a day off to recuperate." They did, but as the weeks wore on, a lot of those men never wanted to go back home either. I made friends with guys on the construction crews who couldn't imagine going back to their old lives. I don't know. I think it was a sense of purpose. The work was grueling and monotonous, and on a basic level, that probably wasn't much different from what a lot of them normally did on a daily basis. But at the pile, there was a community and a sense of purpose that made a lot of people not want to go back to their old lives. Celia told Vern, "Please, don't make me stay at home." He sighed. I know he empathized with her. He said, "Maybe it's a good idea to get out of town for the day. Get some real fresh air." She said, "I don't want fresh air." So Vern said, "Celia, I'm telling you, not as a supervisor, but as a friend, please try to go get some rest and relaxation tomorrow." And I was stunned when she said, "I just stand at a fucking door. I don't need rest." The few of us in the room all watched. Vern said, "Celia, I know this is an emotional place to be, but please don't swear at me." She slumped into herself and shook her head, and Vern stood up and he hugged her, and she mumbled into his collarbone, "Please don't make me go back. I can't." Vern patted and rubbed her back and said, "It's one day. You'll come back and you'll feel rejuvenated for the next week. I'm sorry to say, but I don't think we'll need to close these posts for a very long time. And the Red Cross did stay for a long time, much longer than I could.
3 months had passed, and I realized it was time to go back home to Tennessee. My husband pleaded with me to please come home. He worried about me. I told him not to worry. Everything was fine. At least as fine as it could be. But I guess I understood, at least a little bit, what Celia felt. But I don't know if I ever really understood her. It was literally years later, no, more than a decade later, that I learned she was a famous artist. She never told no one about that, as far as I know. You think you know somebody after 3 months? We only had those 3 months. When it got cold in December, Celia finally went ahead and did it. She came in on her day off. She got past security because she had the Red Cross badge, and as soon as we saw her walking through the door, Vernon and I looked at each other and knew it wasn't a good sign. He walked up to her and put his arm over her shoulder. He directed her away from anyone else and said, "You know it's Wednesday, right? I think we're pretty well staffed today." He didn't want anyone to hear. Everyone did love Celia. He told her that she could stay for the day. We could find something for her to do, but if she came in on another day that she wasn't scheduled, you'd be forced to revoke her official volunteer badge. And she, of course, didn't listen. She came back on a day off the next week. She didn't walk into Respite 1, but she was seen walking around the streets by the pile, talking up the emergency crew guys, more or less getting in the way. Now, Vern, he hated doing it, but he had to have her escorted out. And that was the last time I saw her in real life.